Congratulations to you on being accepted to study here at one of the top 20 law schools in the world, something we're very proud of and something we work very hard at maintaining, not merely for our own benefit, but for that of our students as well. This threshold moment today, formal introduction to the college, will be one of the most important events of your life, as will the next few years. You have at this point in time and over the next few years with us the opportunity to change the future course of your life and to get closer to being the person you want to be in the world and to making the kinds of difference in the world. So be ambitious while you're here. Great opportunities while you're here, and when you complete your degree with us, you will be in a very privileged situation compared to many others in the world, to go out into the world and make a huge difference to it. Without its students, this law school would not exist. Without students of your caliber, this law school would not enjoy the global reputation for excellence that we do enjoy. So we take education, your education, very seriously, both in its design and its planning, as well as in its execution, through the teaching and other opportunities that we offer. So our academic staff, our professional staff, and other students take great pleasure in seeing you formally commence your education journey with us today. One of the distinctive features of this law school is that it is the national law school, the nation's law school, as this university, and this is reflected not merely in the quality of the teaching and research we do, nation leading, as well as in the quality of the students we attract, but it's also demonstrated or visible in the relationships that we have, this law school, its teachers, researchers, with the nation's leaders, with the nation's policymakers, its judges, and its diplomats, who are also located here in Canberra. So there's a great opportunity for all of you in the years ahead to make contact with and learn from, engage with, potentially collaborate with some amazing people who are not only based in Canberra, but who will visit this law school from all over the world from time to time. I really encourage you to reach out and take advantage of those opportunities, because they may not be as many of them in other phases of your life. So this is a very important time. I really urge you to be brave and reach out and grab those opportunities, even if the inner voice inside you is telling you you can't or you shouldn't. It's too much. There's a lot on offer here, not only in relation to your day-to-day teaching experience. We have a range of electives available to you, including overseas-based electives, some of the world's great institutions, whether it's the UN, the World Bank, or a range of other institutions around the world, exchange opportunities with some of the world's best law schools throughout the world, both in the region, Europe, United States, and so on. Internships, that is placements with law firms and organizations, clinics, working with community legal centers around the country, as well as with government agencies and other bodies, all available to you as electives within your degree. And then of course, there are the extracurricular activities which the law school and the university at large provide, including our law reform and social justice student network, who on a voluntary basis engage in a whole range of law reform and social justice activities, such as providing legal literacy courses to prisoners, advocating for human rights, refugees and others within the country, making submissions to Senate and other parliamentary inquiries on key issues of the day and key legislation that's being passed, and attending Parliament to back those submissions with questions and answers from members of Parliament, from senators and so on. Really exciting opportunities that many other law schools in this country, at least, don't provide their students with. And of course, there are the social and sporting type activities that the ANU stands for, which I also encourage you to participate in and take some time out from the hard work as best you can. Conclusion then, I just want to say it's great to have you here. We will do all we can to make your time with us as productive and enjoyable and satisfying to you and your aspirations as we can. Teachers, professional staff, myself are available to assist you along that journey. So please take advantage of that as well. You're now a member of the ANU Law School community. We can't wait to see what you're going to do over the next few years and what you do with your lives after that. So, well.
All right. I think Tony gave you a lot. It's a very grand speech. I want to bring it back down, have you all relax a bit after that one. So Tony mentioned right at the end that you're now members of the law school community. And I think that's an important point of difference to the law school, to the rest of ANU. Who's studied at ANU before now? Just one of you? All right. We're a bit different too. We're a bit different. We are quite small. When Tony mentions community, this very much is a community. We'll get to know a lot of your names. You'll get to know us as well, and that's a good thing. What we do in our professional team is all of these things. Some of these things you probably see and think, that looks like an academic staff member would do that. Law school's a bit different. We take care of a lot of what academics would traditionally do across other areas of ANU and even in other large law schools. So academic questions, questions about the law, about content of your courses, you go to academics for that. Pretty much everything else comes to us. So feel free to come to us anytime, emails, phone calls. If you're not on campus, we can have an appointment through Zoom, or you can come and see us in person, because we do span a great deal of your experience in the law school. Don't be strangers. Definitely don't be strangers with each other. Don't be strangers with us. Come and talk to us. If you have any questions whatsoever, don't be shy. No silly questions. Please come and talk to us. We hope that we're very friendly. Today, we're going to talk about these things here. So your study plans for your degree, how to find information about your courses, how to choose courses in general, and once you've selected your courses, what you'll need to do in them, how your courses operate, key enrollment dates, when to get into your courses, when to get out of your courses, if you need to. MyTimetable, sort of breeze over that. That's fairly self-explanatory. It's choosing when you sit in your classes, where there's a choice. Assessment extensions, late submissions, and penalties. There's a lot of options at ANU. That's probably one area where I'd say definitely come and speak to us as soon as you can. If you have any problems, please come and see us. And support options. So support options and opportunities as well. We've got lots of opportunities here. So let's start with study plans. We've got two little snapshots here. Bachelor of Laws and Juris Doctor. They're our most complicated study plans, apart from maybe Master of International Law and Diplomacy. So we have university's website, programs and courses. It has the, I guess, the requirements written a formal sense for each of your degree programs. Here's how the programs and courses. if you want to pounds. Jump onto our website, literally programs and courses.anu.edu.au. This study tab is the one you want to have a look at. So that will tell you what you need to do to complete your degree. It's an important one. Each of your programs also has a study plan on the college's website. So I hope you'll familiarize yourselves with the content of the college's websites, just law.anu.edu.au. And there's a current students tab here up the top. So that's where you'll find information about pretty much everything that I talk about today. Reading through these pages is an investment that I would recommend. So it gets a bit dry at times, but it'll let you know what you don't know. You don't necessarily need to memorize anything in there, but just keep in mind the kinds of questions that we're here to answer throughout your studies. So I mentioned each degree has sort of an area of the website, and each degree has a page for new students. That's your first stop. Hopefully this week, take a look at that, and it will show you your rundown, basically a summary of those formal requirements that we saw in programs and courses, and it will give you a study plan to take a look at. So basically a tool to plan out your degree. So those of you doing graduate certificate of law or master of laws, lots of flexibility in there. For those of you studying the other degrees, there's a bit less flexibility. So what are we looking at here, Timbo? We're looking at picking on the Bachelor of Laws, single degree. Bachelor of Laws, single degrees. That's all right. So everyone starting Bachelor of Laws will be doing Foundations of Australian Law and Contracts this semester. You guys enrolled in Foundations of Australian Law and Contracts? Yeah. And the JD students too. Yeah. Oh, and JD. And JD will have Law and Legal Institutions. Well, if you don't treat it like, no.
12. No, we'll get it right.
What do we got?
Foundations of Law, Contracts, and
Here's
right. Oh, it's done for their six. I'm worried.
Brilliant. So each degree has this that you can download and fill out, write your scratchings on it, keep track of where you're up to in your degree, particularly for those of you doing a 5-year flexible double degree. 5 years is a long time, easy to lose track. All right, when you're choosing courses, let's jump over. You want to have a look at, let's have a look at this. Go back to the students at JD. I'll go to the JD. Yep, perfect. JD landing page, they're pretty much the same sort of things. Yep. This is what to do in your first semester. All right, there's your first 3. Yeah. So not much choice for the JD students and the LLB students in their first semester. Master of International Law and Diplomacy, you'll be doing some diplomacy stuff in your first semester at ANU. But after that, everyone will be getting a bit more choice in what courses they do later down the track. So there's 2 ways to choose courses to complete. You can look on Programs and Courses website, and that gives you sort of an overview of every course offered right across the university. So your description, the learning outcomes for the course, but when it's on offer, so what semester or term it's on offer, but not a great deal more than that. The ANU College of Law likes to make that a little bit easier for you. So to, I guess, enhance the programs and courses experience, we have our own law course search page, which I think will be useful for every one of you. It has a few more filters, like we can see down here, where you can shop around, basically. You can narrow things down by subject area. If you're looking at specializing in commercial law, you can narrow that down. You can look at courses available for your degrees, and you get a bit more information about each offering of the course. I think we look at, you go for masters. Yeah, masters, our winter course.
Yeah, I can go digital economies.
let's look at digital economies. So digital economies, we've got a course start date, a course end date, but this handy thing here that you won't find on programs and courses is when the actual teaching dates are. So this course here is fairly typical of some of our electives in that there's a whole bunch of classes and then a little gap before you do your final assessment. So if you're just looking at the start dates and end dates, planning out when you
Just go down a bit there, that's invite on the next slide.
page. Yep.
Yeah, I just want to show the textbook bit and just click on more information. Maybe under advanced admin, it's probably got a textbook. Yep. Hopefully, yes. Very handy.
There we go, guys. Yep.
So you can actually look ahead and find out what your text is going to be, because that's been a frustration of students for so many years that by the time the class summary is published 2 weeks before, if you're trying to get your hands on a textbook, it's nigh impossible with 2 weeks to go sometimes. So we now publish that in advance, so you can check on there for any courses coming up. And we usually update it about 3 months prior to the course start date. Earlier if we can, but sometimes our academics are a bit nervous because there might be a new edition published coming soon, so they like to hold up till about 3 months before. Sorry to interrupt, Jake.
No, that's right. So programs and courses, great for an overview, choosing what courses are going to count towards your degree, give you a general description of each course. But the nuts and bolts we give to you in the college's law course search page. So strongly recommend that one. So Nicole mentioned class summary there. So it also lives in programs and courses. It's a few clicks deep. What the class summary is for each particular time a course is offered, it will have all of the, detailed requirements of the course. So it'll have the particular assessment scheme of that instance of the course. It will have key information that you need to know, what if classes are included or which classes have compulsory attendance, things like that. So class summary is a fairly important document. It's what you should refer back to when you want official information about that particular offering of a course, rather than scuttlebutt that you might get talking to one another. You've heard a rumor that no, you don't have to do this, or this assessment is longer than it should be, or maybe there's an option in there that you've heard about, but you haven't really heard about it from the teacher. The class summary is the official document for each course. Now, once you're in a course and you're studying away, you'll have face-to-face classes. When you're not in face-to-face class, your course runs through a WOTL site. So WOTL is our learning management system. Is a snapshot one for FAL. So that will have weekly updates. So week by week information from your lecturers and tutors, general announcements and forums to discuss things with each other. You'll submit your written assessments via WOTL, and if you have a quiz, the quiz will be accessed via WOTL. So WOTL really is the classroom outside the classroom, and that's how they fit together. Now, you'll get access to a WOTL site for a course before the classes start. How many days before?
2 weeks before.
2 weeks before, so generally 10 working days before you'll get.
But if they're ready, you may find you've got access sooner, and that's cool.
Yeah.
Some of them are super organized.
So it's
as soon as they're live, you'll be in.
a minimum 2 weeks. So if you're enrolled in a course, you think you know what it's about, you have a snoop, you look in the class summary, or maybe that's not what this course is about, jump into the WOTL site. No, this is not the course I want to do. And you've got 2 weeks.
And just on that, Jack and Nicole, please make sure you engage in WOTL. Okay, it's there for your learning experience. Also, as Jack and Nicole mentioned, announcements, that clean them up with some announcements on. There could be a change of room for a class, anything. But please engage.
Yeah. WOTL's just as important as face-to-face classes for progressing through your course. I mentioned looking at courses and then maybe freaking out a little bit. That's not the course you want to do, we want to change courses. It's probably a good intro to talk about key dates. So there's a few different key dates for each course. There's the last date to enroll. So week 1, enroll yourself before week 1 is my best advice. Missing even one class can sort of throw you off a little bit as important information at the start of every course. But we understand that things don't necessarily go smoothly. And there's a date later on in the course for everyone starting in second semester. The key date is the 31st of August. It's the census date for the course. So that date is sort of legally determines that you're part of a course or not. If you withdraw from a course before the census date, you're out. You got out scot-free. It's like you never attempted the course. After the census date, there's varying degrees of consequence of staying in a course that you might not want to be in. And that could be that you have to pay for the course, but you're not gonna fail it by dropping out. Or if you leave it too late, when you drop out close to the end, it might count as failing a course. So pay attention to that census date. It's a really important one. And for students who'll be studying in the non-standard session, so in winter, autumn, spring, and summer, the census date will be determined for each particular course. So each course could have a unique census date. It's not going to be the 31st of August or the 31st of May, like those semester date courses. And those census dates will be published on programs and courses. So that's the place to find those. But census date, just want to impress upon you, it's an important date. Census date coming up if you're thinking about dropping a course before that census date. There are other dates, of course. So hopefully I've stressed census date on you. Last date to enroll, of course, and that's an important one. So there's late enrollment where you won't be able to enroll yourselves, but you can get us to sneak you in late. After that, really it's weeks into a course. We're not going to let you jump into a course that late because your learning will be negatively impacted quite a bit. I recommend you have a look through the university calendar because there's a few other dates in there that are sort of important. Public holidays is one of them, but there's fee dates and all sorts of other dates in there that will be important to your studies. But when you're in class face-to-face, you'll need to know what time that is. So we've got a system called MyTimetable that controls the timetabling out. Won't get too much into the MyTimetable, but you can have a look at the time slots in a sort of a graphical interface of when each of your courses are for standard teaching activities. Couldn't think of the word activities there. So group teaching activities like big seminars, lectures, and things like that, where everyone's attending. And for the smaller group activities where you have a choice of times, this is the system that you'll use to choose the time that you would be attending that small activity. So jump through there. Who's had a look at my timetable already? Brilliant. If you didn't put your hand up, pay attention to someone who has, and ask them for help. But no, of course you can come and ask us for help as well. Now, asking us for help, it's in it. Do you like my segues?
I love the segue. You've given well.
My segues. So I started off by saying, come and ask us for help. Really, I really want to take this opportunity to impress upon you. You can probably tell we're a bit of an outgoing bunch and we love helping our students. We really do believe in the community and student success. So please don't be strangers. Come and ask us for help. We understand that some of you may not have a smooth run through your courses. People get sick. Awkward stuff happens. And you'll need help with things. The biggest thing that you'll need help with is probably your assessment. When things boil down to it towards the end of the semester, or you're going to be thinking about assessments. When stuff happens, there's a whole range of adjustments and assistance that we can give depending on the circumstances. And because that range is so broad, it can be really difficult to figure out what you need to ask for. So you can come and talk to us in the first instance. Please talk to us. But we've also got an online tool that you can use to figure out what assistance you might be eligible for. So maybe that's just a short extension that you need. You got sick, you need 3 more days. There's a way to apply for that. And that this form will guide you through those steps to say, this is what you need to do. It might be that you're sick for longer than that and you need a longer extension, maybe a couple of weeks. There's only different ways to apply. And that's a bit tricky at times. But we do have this really second. Just asking the really big questions and helps you navigate the vast complexity of assistances that college offers, but also the university-wide. So that's a good one to, you might just become just a quick demonstration. Yeah. Oh, ignore this. Sorry.
No problems. You had a quiz.
Yes, and you were sick. Like, I didn't start the quiz. There's your scenario. Please guys for these conditions. So I had a quiz.
Yep.
What was I again? Sorry, Jack.
You were sick.
I was sick. Yep. So you were sick and you couldn't do it, but you didn't start the quiz. Yep.
All right.
The middle one, Timbo.
I'm just looking at misadventure. So that's,
Yeah.
sorry. Misadventurous. So I want to sit my quiz test at a different time.
It was yesterday and you were sick as a dog, but you didn't.
All right. So
You didn't try to start.
how fast?
So the time's passed. So yeah, go Jess.
Yep. So the time passed. You missed your quiz, but there's still something that we could do about it. So we could do, adjust your what's our acronym?
Okay. We can give you an extenuating adjustment. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So we could apply for that. And we can click on that form and that link, and it would take you straight there. And generally, we would say, okay, need a medical certificate, got it, fantastic. I'm going to let you do the quiz again next week. No. So lots of options. The quiz is an easy one. Sometimes it gets a lot more complex. And if you go back to when Tim first started that one, so if you just scroll back up the page. Oh, sorry, Tim. Yeah,
So
just tick the quiz again. Yep. And if you see that one there, more time during my quiz or test.
Yep.
I will explain this to you later on, but for international students in their first semester or first year in Australia, we do offer more time for timed tasks. So if English isn't your first language, there is an option for you to get some extra time as well. So you can still sit it at the normal time, but maybe you might get 10% more time to complete it than anybody else. So that's what that button refers to. If you need more time, the one that Tim had, because he was sick, he has to do it at a different time. And the third option up there is I had misadventure during. That one's more common for exams. Quizzes, you don't usually have a misadventure in a 20-minute quiz, but sometimes. But it's more likely that if you're doing a take, or not even an exam, let's say it's a take-home assignment and you've got 24 hours to do it. But once you click on the link in Waddle, you might only have 2 hours to complete, but you've got a 24-hour window. So you went in after uni at 7 o'clock one night, you sat down, and then you started feeling really dizzy and you were vomiting. Okay, but you actually accessed the link and you started. That's what that one's for, because we have to do a whole lot of different things when that happens. Because if you've completed say it was 10 to 9 and just about due, and that's the point when you vomit, you're probably not going to get much love. Okay, so, well, you've nearly completed it anyway. You're 10 minutes short. You might have missed your final reading. We'll let your convener know and they'll take that into consideration. But if it's 7:15, that's a different story, because you haven't hardly started, you're sick. We can't let you do the same task again because you've viewed it, and that's why it's a different option. So we need to go through the whole different scenario. We might find you an alternative task. We might let you do a deferred option later. So there's lots of different things we can do, but unfortunately, there's probably 85 different scenarios and probably another 100 I've never thought of. So yeah, there are lots and lots of different things that happen. So we've tried to make it as broad as we can for that reason.
Yeah. I think pressed upon them. So complexity.
Yeah, very complex.
Alternative assessment. Assessments held at different time, longer assessments, all sorts of adjustments that we can make. So
Just out on the examination. This is brilliant.
Yeah, and that's the online exam. Yep, opened it up. Yep.
So this tool's here to help. I think it's a pretty good one, but we're always here. Ask us for help. Let us know what's going on, and we can help you navigate all the options available to you, particularly in the context, I think, Nicole's context of the timing of a misadventure throughout a timed examination really shows that there's different options within, I guess, some of those click-through categories.
And just before Jake moves on, sorry, just back on that form that we're going through with Nicole and Jake, that is just, remember, it's just a guide. It's not the actual application that applies for a special consideration. You'll need to go through your ISIS student account score, that just simply a guide.
Come in. It's all right, girl.
6 down.
Come in and find stuff at 6 around the sides here.
So that was a bit of a bummer, wasn't it? Talking about things going wrong. Sorry about that. It's
Well, it's all about
conversation, but there's also some cool stuff in here. Financial support. So great thing about ANU College of Law, we have lots of generous donors. So there's lots of opportunities available to do some cool stuff, like Tony mentioned, courses overseas, or even things that you found yourself. Maybe there's a debating competition, or even you've submitted an essay and you get to present at a conference, things like that. All sorts of financial support available for those sorts of, I guess, opportunities that may be a part of your program, but also extracurricular as well. Also, if times are a bit tough, there's financial support for that as well. So information on our website about College of Law and ANU College of Law specific opportunities and support arrangements, but also links out to university wide options there, and even the ANUSA, the ANU Students Association opportunities there. Yep, mentoring. So there's lots of mentoring opportunities. Peer assisted learning, PAL mentoring program. That's a really good one. So that pairs early degree students with later year students. So you can learn the ropes, ask advice. We have lots of really keen later year students that want to help out new students with all the things that they wish they knew when they started their law degree. Set for ANU mentoring program. So that's an ANU-wide mentoring program. Sorry. No, that's all right. We also have
It's really highlighting it. So there we go.
the Law Student Society mentoring program. Law Student Society is an excellent thing to have a look at through. They've got a good website. They have all sorts of supports and advice to give you if you need it. There's also there's their mentoring program. There's also the Momentum mentoring program. So this is any time. I think this is a great time to participate in. We have an awful lot of lawyers that have come through this law school that are very keen to give back, particularly past COVID. I think a lot of our very connected law graduate community, our alumni, felt a bit disconnected through COVID. So they're all very keen to be able to rejoin the community now that we're back on campus. Keep using that word, community. We're definitely a community here. But yeah, great one to take advantage of. Get paired up with a lawyer, ask them things about being a lawyer, or if you're not doing a degree that leads to practice, so if you're doing a Master of Law or a Master of International Law and Diplomacy, legal-based careers in different areas. For inbound students, I think PAL is probably a great idea for our exchange students. Jumping into ANU sort of partway through your degree that you started elsewhere can be a little bit, because you won't necessarily be part of that first year cohort. You might be jumping into second year, third year, but PAL's a really great one if you need help, and the Law Student Society as well. There's a few others there. I'd encourage you to take a look. The college offers sort of education services. So I point out making an appointment with our team, the student experience team, to have a chat about things if you've got any questions. But yeah, there's a bunch here. Academic skills service, it's university-wide service, peer writers service. What else have we got there? We've got Studiosity. So we've got a Studiosity license. That's pretty interesting. So that's sort of a peer learning, peer review that spans universities. So you can talk to someone, might be someone at ANU, might be someone at University of Sydney, elsewhere. If you've got questions that you want to get through. English conversation groups is a pretty cool one. And what's the next one? So yeah, the Dean of Students. So Dean of Students is great. Pete Hendricks is one of the most lovely men on campus. And the Dean of Students is really the advocate for students in the ANU. So if something goes terribly, terribly wrong at ANU, fingers crossed it doesn't. But if you need sort of a senior academic staff member to be your advocate, Peter Hendricks, Dean of Students, the perfect man. And this is us. And so the lawn's just outside here, which you would have seen on the way in. We're tucked.
Yes, that's the bit. We're up here.
Yep.
In that middle building.
We're up with a phone number.
Yeah, we're not knows about that's it.
So we're tucked in here. We have a counter that's open from 10 till 4 every day. We're just down from the law library. Now the law library.
Oh, that's our counter.
It is the counter. If you see that, opposite that, there's sort of a blue stained glass artwork. If you see the blue stained glass artwork, you're in the right spot. But we also have you chat over the phone or email, or we can make sort of a one-on-one appointment, things like that.
So the email to memorize is inquiries.law@anu.edu.au. That's the only one you need to know.
That's the email for everything.
Everything. Yep.
Everything.
Including if you want to speak to your convener, anything at all.
Yep.
And if we can't help you, we'll send it to your convener.
And who was it that studied at ANU already?
Yeah, couple. Yeah.
You aren't brilliant. So when you email that email address, you will be shocked at how fast you get the reply. Yeah. So I don't think ANU is known for its particularly speedy replies, but I think we pride ourselves on being the fastest gun at ANU, replying to emails.
Yeah, indeed.
So we're right at the law library here. I want to mention the law library in particular. You'll have access to that 7 days a week, 24
hours a day
as law students, which is great. Hopefully you don't need to pull all-nighters in the library. Start things early, but we understand that that may be the case. I've blasted through so much stuff there. Is there anything else about it? Did I miss
I'd
anything?
just like you to go back to the website if we could, Timbo. I just want to do a quick show and tell before I jump in, and then we're going to have some general questions. From our website, we have a current student section. I'll just get Tim to say, oh, you're right. Yeah, just go straight to the website. Our website, sorry.
Yeah, just go. So I'll just go to.
Yeah, just to the homepage. So when you get into the law website, when you're in the homepage, you will see a whole lot of information. And by the way, we're new to the website, launching in about three weeks' time. So hopefully it will look a bit schmicker. At the moment, it's very clunky. If you go to current students on that website, up the top there, okay. And if we scroll down, this is how we set up our current student page. So this should make it really easy. So all those pages that Jack and Tim were navigating to, the first one is the support services that we've been through. And then support, that's our support services, and then the support and wellbeing. So the first one will take you to all about us and how you book a student appointment with us. And that will tell you exactly what to do, how to get in touch, our email again, our counter hours, the deferred and assessment options that Tim and Jake took you through. And more importantly than that even is our student appointments. Okay, so that's the very first tab under that current student page. Okay, let me just go back again to those grids. Yep. Yeah, the support wellbeing we won't click into because that's what we did. That's all your financial support, your health and wellbeing, your education support. This one here, really important. You'll probably come across this a bit later through your degree, but we have everything in alphabetical order that you ever might need to know. So God forbid that we need academic integrity or misconduct. We won't talk about that. We've got assessment, extension, deferment options, like we said. When you get into your compulsory courses, there'll be a class representative process. What else? Later on in your degree, this sort of stuff comes up. You might want a letter. You might want to overload one semester. You might be really clever and think I can do an extra course. I want to apply an overload. Credit, if you've come from another institution and you decide that you might want to apply for credit for something you've done before, or you might be in, say, a FDD law now, and in a couple of years' time, you might transfer to a single law degree. So some of that credit could come over. You might be in the Master of International Law and Diplomacy and then decide, actually, I want to get out with just a Master of Law, same thing. So along the way, credit is an option. Degree completion time, that's really important later on. You have time limits to complete your degree. So now we're going to test my knowledge, and Jake and Tim will correct me. For an FDD law, it's 11 years. So you got a shitload of time, yeah? Long time. Single law degree is 10 years. Thank you. A JD degree is 6 years. So if there's any degree from JD that needs to do it. 10 years. Master's program is 5 years. Yeah. So there's access to get more. But in studying that, if you're an international student, it's different was apply with the student visa in the eCoE. With that in mind. Enrolment, that's what Jake's talking about. All those dates are in there. If you want weight enrolment, which we don't recommend, if you want to sponsor courses, if you need an admission code for a course. Some courses you won't be able to enroll yourself for various reasons. Sometimes it's because there's an application process. If it's a clinical program or a special course, it's got numbers. Other times it might be it's asking you for a permission code because you're not actually eligible to do that course. So for all those things, you just contact us as normal. Feedback and complaints, we don't talk about that ever. Don't worry about that. No, I'm only kidding. It's there if you need it. Examinations, there's some stuff. There's stuff on our grading system. Guidance for student placement and international opportunities. That's a good one. If you want to do exchange later on or want to do an internship or something overseas.
Hey, Nicole.
Yep.
What's the only postgraduate program at the university where students can go on exchange?
The Jura stocked up. That. Guide to appropriate student behaviour. If you're doing a Bachelor of Laws, there's a section that explains how your honours are calculated as part of that degree. Research papers, that comes later on if you're doing a thesis. If you're really cranky about your mark, you might want to review or appeal it. You can do that under university policy. Forget a school of legal practice. It is no longer. We don't need to talk about that. Specialisations. Now, this is a big one. Our specialisations here at ANU are something that we're really proud of, but they are not compulsory. All right. I need to make that really clear. as you go through your degree, I'm not going to go through it now, it's rather complex, but as you go through to your degree, I urge you to have a look, because in our courses, we have certain specializations. So if you're in a Master of Laws, you might want to choose to specialize in private commercial law. So you can choose 4 courses in the private and commercial law strand that will enable you to get that specialization. Okay, in the Bachelor of Laws, it's slightly different. You might want to do a public law. Same thing applies. So all of our degree programs have specializations. The Juris Doctor students, you have 10. You're really lucky because you can do an undergraduate specialization or a postgraduate specialization. So you get the best of both worlds. So when you have time and come up for air, you can read that, but it won't become applicable for a while. So we're not going to worry about that now. Studying elsewhere, that's if you choose to go overseas or at another cross-institutional university if you want to study somewhere else. So just say you saw a course, I don't know, animals in law is always one we get asked about. We used to teach it, we don't anymore. So if you're really, really passionate about the law and how it applies to animals, you can go and do that. I know Sydney Uni do it. So you could apply and say, look, I know you guys don't offer it, but I really want to do this course. Sport in law sport is another one. People looking at the sport and how law applies, becoming a sports lawyer. So yeah, there's quite a few little options that we don't offer, very bespoke ones. But if you find it somewhere else and you want to do it, you can apply to what we call study elsewhere. Time adjustments we talked about, and word lengths and word penalties, really important. They'll be in your class summaries, but when you start writing, you are going to see we have word lengths and word limits, and you will be penalised if you do not follow those word lengths and word limits. It's very clear in your assessment guidelines, so I don't want you to worry about it, but any extra information is there. So that's that part of the website that I just wanted to quickly allude to. The rest of that course search website, the rest of that page, I don't want Tim to click on it. Course search we've already gone through. That's your golden tool to find out what's on offer at any one time and when it's timetable. Careers and employability will give you lots of career options, lots of things on how to write a resume, clinical placements we've talked about. And then more importantly, we go into each of our degree programs. So let's just click on one to finish off that we haven't done. Let's just do the MILD. It's not, oh no, we don't own the MILD, that's bad. Financial management law. For our one student, when we go into any of our pages, they all look the same, yeah? You've got a new student section that we want you to click through. We've got a contact us, and then it refers you back again to the student wellbeing, the course search and the forms, but also program management, and that will tell you your program rules, etc. Okay, so I just wanted to run through that very quickly so that you know where to find it. So current students on the ANU website, and it's all there for you. Oh, yes.
So this is for people just, is this also relevant for exchange?
No, probably not. So yeah, it's probably fine to go if you're an exchange student because you do have a different visa. Yeah. This is primarily around visa conditions. So yeah, so I guess welcome aboard to our international cohort. A big welcome. I have spent a lot of time overseas in marketing and recruitment and have been many places. So I know it's a big culture shock when you arrive. It's pretty scary. It's pretty daunting and it's cold as hell compared to where most of you have come from. So yeah, I get it. I remember I had to go to Harbin in January once, and I left Australia and it was 42 degrees at Sydney Airport. I got to Harbin, it was minus 23. And Harbin, for those of you that don't know, is in the very north of China, near Russia. So it was so cold. So I hear you when I know it's hard to come across. Okay. That's all right.
Okay.
All right. So the most important document that you have besides your visa is what we call your eCoE. You will hear it called eCoE a lot, or eCoE, some people call it. Basically, that's your confirmation of enrolment. All right. And that says that you are cool to stay in Australia to study. We produce that here at the ANU, and that is used to support your visa application. So I know you've all got one because you're all here. So you've got your visas, and we can extend those eCoEs at times, but it's pretty narrow in how we can extend them. So I will cover that shortly. So we can only extend it if there are compassionate or compelling circumstances. Students are often really confused what that means. If you've got a flu, a cold, probably not. It has to be, and it's sort of not our decision either. We can support your request for an eCoE extension, but it comes to our central ANU. So all I can stress is if you are getting into trouble, and we shouldn't be talking about this day one, but if you are getting into trouble later in your degree, you need to come and see us, okay? Because we're going to tell you to get to the doctor. We're going to make a counselling appointment for you. We're going to do all of that so we get you some documentation to support you if you need more time. If you fail a course, it is a bit of a no-brainer that we will always extend to allow you to pass your course. But again, I don't want to dwell on that because that's not going to happen. But if it does, we have safety nets along the way. This one's a big one, reducing your study load. Now, this gets a bit confusing because you do need to be on a full-time load. So for our international students, for our LLBs, for our Bachelor of Laws, it is 4 courses. For our JDs, it is 3. All right. Really important that our Juris Doctor students understand that, because every now and again you'll get a narky letter from someone saying you're not on a full-time load. You're only on 3 courses in your first semester. You can write back to them and say, I am special. I am a Juris Doctor student and I am allowed to do 3 subjects. Okay. So that's the only exception in the whole university. In fact, we have the exception. And the reason for that, for a new Juris Doctor student coming in, we can't really give them 4 compulsory courses. It would kill them too much. Whereas an LLB student gets to do 2 compulsories and 2 electives, it's okay. But for a JD student, 3 compulsory new courses is more than enough to cope with. So we have a special federal government exemption for that one. Master of Laws, 4 subjects: diplomacy law, financial management law, all 4 subjects. Okay, that is full-time load. If you want to reduce, Tim is our person who looks after you, your cohort. So Tim is our international student godfather, I call him these days. Tim knows everything there is to know about international student study loads. So there is a special way to do that, and Tim will talk you through if you do need to reduce. We can approve it, but again, it's exceptional circumstances. So again, if you got really, really sick during one semester and you said, I just can't manage the 4, I can only do 2. I've had a shit of a semester. I need to get out of these courses before census date. So I'm going to drop them, Tim. Can you approve this? Here's my documentation. So there is a process, and Tim manages that at the college level. Okay, so once your visa's been approved, and obviously it has, you are all on a subclass 500 student visa. Most of you, I think, might have a couple of partner visas and another couple of odd ones, but generally most of you are on that. And we do have conditions for those visas. Now, the conditions are, you are, you're right, Tim, next one. You are expected to complete it in the time of your eCoE, which means you have to enroll full-time to get out in your eCoE time. And I've already talked about those exceptions. Reducing your study load will extend it, and that violates the conditions of your student visa. So therefore, that's why we need to do a new eCoE. And as we said, we need documentation to do that. Okay, this is the tricky one, which I'm going to try and explain as simply as I can for you. You have a condition that you can only do 33% of your courses online. So for an LLM student, that means 2 or 3, I can't even remember. 2 courses only can be online. Okay.
Big ones, 3, sorry.
3.
Across the whole program.
Yes, across the whole program. So you have 8 courses to do in a master's, whether it be an LLM, a mild, or a financial management law. There are 3 master's programs. You've got 8, 3 can be online. Okay. That's the rule. If you're an LLB, you don't have to worry because you're going to more than cut it in your courses are on campus. There's the odd one that's online in the LLB program. Feel free to take it because there's no way you're going to get to your 33%, even if you took all the online options for the LLBs. There are a few. We have some conveners. We've got one next year doing global health law, which will be awesome, but she's in Canada. So that's for the undergrad. It's a co-badge. So we've got an 8,000 version and a 4,000 version. And our convener is going to deliver that from Canada. So obviously that's an exception where an LLB course is online. But honestly, you could do every single online offering in the LLB and you wouldn't make your 33%. So never worry about that. JDs, you have to be a little careful because although your compulsories are on campus, a lot of your electives will be online because you do the master's electives because the Juris Doctor is a master's program. It's just a longer, it's called extended masters. It's a different master's than an LLM, but it's still a master's program. So most of your electives are at 8,000 level, which is our master's level, but there are some 4,000 electives that Juris Doctor students can do, up to 4. So you have to be a little careful, but I have never seen a Juris Doctor student in trouble with the 33%. So don't stress because your compulsories are all on campus. So that's going to knock out most of your on-campus time. So it's really only our Master of Law and Master of International Law and Diplomacy and Financial Management that we have to worry about. And sadly, this semester, we don't have a big on-campus offering. On behalf of the college, my sincere and utmost apologies. It happened very quickly because we were told by TEXA, our governing authority, that we had to have you all back on campus this semester. So we didn't have a lot of notice. We've been online up until now. So you're our very first return to campus cohort. But you have my word. First semester next year, you will have a much broader variety, of course, to choose from. And the compulsory course, Law and Legal Institutions, will be on campus next year. I know that's too late for you. You're having to do it this year. So it does take out one of your onlines. Now, without breaking the rules, if there is an online course for your fourth course that you were desperate to do, sometimes we can look at an on-campus arrangement, a hybrid option. So I think we're going to be okay, but I don't want you to get too stressed about this, because the other thing is your testament does not state that it's an online course or an on-campus course, okay? It's purely just us signing off for your governments, and I promise you we don't lie, but I also promise you if you are in any trouble with your online maths, Tim will let you know immediately and we will rectify it. Even if I have to put you into an undergraduate on-campus course, I will do that. Okay, so it is no way you are not going to finish your program if we're in trouble with online on-campus courses, okay? So I want you to put that one out of your mind. I know it's a cause of real stress and major issues, but I promise you we've got this for you. It'll be fine. So yes, the other really important one I need you to do is through ISIS, through the student system, which can you believe is called ISIS after the Egyptian god. But anyway, lo and behold, through ISIS, you need to change your address if you do move, please. It's really important that you keep your contact details up to date. That is your address and your phone number, because if I need to find you and I can't, there is trouble. All right, I will be furious and I will hunt you down if I cannot find you. Because if I need to find you, it's usually because something's happened in your home country. Immigration have called me. It's usually pretty urgent. So I really need you to make sure you keep your details up to date for me, all right, in our student interactive system. Okay, you have to maintain academic progress. So that means pretty much you need to pass. As said, if you don't, it's okay. We will have meetings. We will help. We will get you through. And in my time, I've only ever reported 2 students for non-academic progress. You've got to be pretty bad before we get there. And the only reason I will report you is if you don't show up. So if I call you in for a chat because I'm a bit worried about you and you just refuse to engage, well, you guarantee I'm going to report you to the Department of Immigration, all right? If you can't be bothered to meet us halfway, then that's the only time we do it. We've had students fail 9, 10 courses. It happens. It's not ideal, but it happens. So please don't live in fear that if you fail a course, we're going to send you home. The only reason we will is if you disappear and don't respond to phone calls. Okay, you have to pay your tuition fees on time. For semester 2, that date is Friday, the 11th of August. But again, if there is an issue with that, come and talk to us because we don't have a lot of say on that. All that is done centrally, and it will cancel your eCoE, okay, which means then your visa's not valid. So it's a bit of a trickle effect done by government policy. So we just need to, if there is an issue, come and talk to us. If you're sponsored and you have a sponsor who looks after your payment, the student finance office will send that directly to your sponsor. Okay, we have some sponsored students. Next one's a big one. You have to maintain overseas student health cover. I know you know that. We actually have a preferred provider, but only because they're on campus. It's Allianz. You can use whoever you like. If you've got another one that your agent might have organised for you from your home country, don't worry about it. They're all fine. Okay, it's just that Allianz is here at the ANU. There is an office over in Canberra to assist students on campus. So that's the only reason we recommend them. Working, this is a big one. You can't start working until after your course has started. So none of you should be working now. If you do, I don't want to know, okay? But if you, once your course start date clicks in, which is next week, you can go and technically get a job. You are limited to 40 hours a fortnight. Now, the reason it's not, it used to be 20 hours a week. They've changed it to 40 hours a fortnight because some students might have had, I don't know, say you had exam week and you had to have the whole week off to do your exams. You can then technically work full-time the following week or 40 hours, more than full-time. So you can do what you like with them, but you can't. So you can do 10 hours one week, 30 the next. You can split it evenly down the middle, 20-20. It's up to you. When it's school holidays, we call it university holidays, when you're not actually in session. So once those mid-semester breaks and end-of-semester breaks kick in, you can work as many hours as you like. Okay, I don't know if we've got a tax. No, so on working, we used to have a slide. I better put it back up there. Can you take a note, Kels, to add up the tax file number back onto that working page? When you're working in Australia, you need a tax file number, okay? We call it a TFN, all right? You cannot work in Australia legally without that, so you need to do it. So I don't want to hear any of you working in dodgy restaurants or cafes without a TFN, all right? You must pay tax to the Australian government and your employer must pay stuff on your behalf. It also protects you if there's an accident at work. It gives you your superannuation. It gives you your insurance. And because you'll work so few hours, you get all your tax back anyway. You get it all back at the end of financial year. So it's not like you're going to lose money unless you work a really lot of hours, and then you may not get it all back, but you'll get most of it back, if not all. So a TFN, so I want you to Google tax file number if you haven't got one and you're going to get a job. It's a really simple online form. You send it away and you will get that number. There's no assessment process. They won't ask you questions or you don't have to do interviews. It's basically you apply it, you get it. And once you've got that, you then give that to your employer when you start. Really, really important, because if you don't do that and you get caught, you will be deported immediately without a TFN. And secondly, if you have an accident, I had an international student years ago at Narrabundah College who burnt her hand on oil in a chip machine, hot oil. And she didn't have it. She wasn't legally registered to work and there was no insurance to cover her. So it was dreadful. So that dodgy employer got off scot-free. So I hate it. So yeah, please do the right thing where it comes to part-time work. Okay, health, safety, and wellbeing. All right, we have the following support services. The first one is violence and sexual assault support. Hopefully we don't need that, but if we do, it is there. And we are here to help. And you've got to, I know it's hard, and I know culturally for many of you it's difficult, but if something happens, you need to come and talk to me, okay? Because I can't have you wandering around Canberra unsupported if you've had a violent incident or sexual assault. The diversity and inclusion and a section that's set up to the best of the division, which is great. The medical services on campus, so I bring everybody over in that centre. And it's sounding really much for me. We have that 30 actually the student yesterday, our very first case. We now got a triage system at the ANU. So if you need to see it outside, sometimes you wait for a week or two, and we know that that's not always on you. If you're only using it at the point you need to speak to a counsellor and using it for the urgent. So we now have a triage system where you can do it yourself through the website, and they will call you within 3 days. And within that 3-day period, they will ascertain whether to fast track you to go to see a counsellor immediately, or maybe it's because you've lost your accommodation. So it probably isn't the counsellor you need to see. Instead, we need to get some accommodations sorted for you now. So that system has just come in. It's brand new and it's under ANU Counselling on the website. But again, we can assist. And Kelsey actually helped an international student yesterday with this very thing. So yeah, so it's there for us to use. And obviously this is all open to domestic students as well. Mental health support, another big one. I know a lot of you from different cultural backgrounds find it really difficult to talk about mental health. It's real. You've got to acknowledge it, and particularly when you first arrive. I know myself, having been overseas, you don't even know what you don't know, yeah? And sometimes you can just be walking through Civic and just burst into tears for no reason, just because it's all too much. Everything is new. The study is new. You're trying to study in English, which for some of you is not your native tongue. It's very difficult. You've got to listen all day, every day. You've got to engage. You're trying to sort out accommodation. You're trying to sort out meals, your bills, your TFNs. You might be working. It's really, really hard. And you have to acknowledge that. And although you think you might be okay, one day it just might all fall down. And when it does, we're here, okay? I guarantee. Yeah, for me, I burst into tears when I was living in Vietnam for 12 months because I couldn't find my shampoo. It was that simple. And I'm pretty resilient and pretty tough. But because I couldn't get this goddamn shampoo, and these people had told me it was, and I'd wandered through Vietnam. And I don't know if you've ever been to Vietnam, but the traffic's chaotic, motorbikes everywhere. I'd crossed 5 roads in Ho Chi Minh to go to 3 different chemists, couldn't get it, and that was the end. And it was such a stupid thing because my mum obviously sent some over in 2 days when I cried on the phone to her. Dumb things, and it can be as simple as that, all right? But be careful, because that homesickness and that cultural shock gets you when you're really not ready for it. Because you can manage really complex things day after day, and it'll be the little things that make you fall apart. So just watch out for that.
Just on that note as well, is going back to the counselling service. If that is just something that is just going to increase your stress, we can actually do that for you. So Nicole was saying, I actually provided the support for the student yesterday. I contacted the team. I was one that provided their information. You just need to give us your consent. So if it's like a phone
Like you say, sure, I'll still it on the half, because I just did one more.
It's just one more thing that you can't do. We can do that for you. We can be there in the room. We can set up all the appointments. You just need to tell us. So if it's too hard, we can do that for you.
Yeah. And equally, if you want to keep it confidential, you do it yourself. So yeah, you have those options. Spiritual support. Yes, we do have. I'm ashamed to say, I don't have a lot of information on spiritual support at the ANU, but I will look into that for next time. So if anybody needs any support in any religious grounds or cultural grounds, come and speak to me, because there will be an association set up. I know it. I just have to find it. Okay, access and inclusion. This has now had a name change to accessibility. Another note to update slides, that's all right. So if you have a disability or a medical condition, you may be able to get some extra support. You will hear this word bandied about a lot at your time at ANU. We call it an Education Access Plan, or EAP for short. So students who have an EAP generally get a week longer for all their extensions, for all their assessment tasks. They'll get extra time in exams in addition to the English extra time. They might be, say they had multiple sclerosis and in a wheelchair, they might have an EAP that says they can orally dictate their exams. So depending on what the condition is, the vast majority of our EAPs are mental health, to be honest, anxiety, depression, all sorts of things. But we do have the odd physical one. We've got 3 fully blind students, completely blind, who obviously need support in different ways. We've got 2 or 3 deaf students. We've got 4 students in a wheelchair now, to my knowledge. Quite a few dying of disease, which is awful, cancer sufferers, and carers. That's another really important one. If at any point during your time here you find you're caring for someone, you might be entitled to an EAP. So if you think that you meet any of those, if you've got a learning disability, that's another one. So if you've got dyslexia or any of those other learning disabilities, that's another one. So anytime we can get you support, let us know. And we will look at an EAP for you. We'll put you in touch with central people. And as I said, once you've done it, you've got that for your time here, and then you can use it for every assessment task, every exam. You can speak to your convener because you might need things explained a little differently. Obviously, our blind students need recordings of everything, including tutorials. So yeah, it's different rules for different conditions. Counselling, we've talked about a little bit. In fact, probably covered that enough. Yeah, so that's there for you. Academic skills, Tim and Jake alluded to this earlier. This is the area of the ANU that helps you with your academic learning. But you know what? As good as they are, our PAL is better. So if you need support with your academics, I would encourage you to go to PAL. It's peer-assisted learning. You'll see some signs up around the place, and on the website, it's under education support, or you can just Google PAL ANU and it'll come up. There's a Wattle site. Those times that Jake showed you on the slide, the website hasn't been updated yet because we haven't locked in the times for semester 2. We've got a couple of changes, but as soon as they do, the website will be updated with the times. And honestly, PAL is not a one-on-one mentor. I know Jake didn't make this explicit, but it'll be someone like me talking to, say, 20 of you at once. And what it means is we can split you up. So if you've got your first task in a Master of Laws course, it might be, I don't know, you might be doing contract law. And you look at it and you go, I just don't even know where to start. That's what PAL is for. They will break it down for you. They will talk about referencing. They will talk about word limits. And although academic skills are great, they're central ANU, whereas PAL is law specific. So you have law students who will speak to you about law rules. So if you are in any doubt with assessment, I urge you to go along to PAL, all right? This is the other thing I was talking about, the extra time. We call it LBOTE for short. It's language backgrounds other than English. So it's only for your first year of studies. So I would urge you again to take advantage of this. It's something for nothing, so just do it, okay? Even if you think you don't need it. Okay, if approved, you'll be given extra time, and you can use a dictionary that is, say, French, English, whatever your language is, yeah? It's a dual dictionary. So these are how you can be applied. If you've been educated somewhere, which is the language of instruction. If you were born outside Australia, or born outside Australia and live permanently somewhere else, or born in Australia, sorry. So basically, if you're from another country and English isn't what you speak at home or at school, you are eligible for LBOTE. Now, how do you apply? As said, first 12 months, and you'll be able to demonstrate linguistic and cultural factors. Hopefully the habit applies up there, yes. Okay, so this is the tricky part. You need to apply in the first 2 weeks of teaching, all right? So you've only got 2 weeks to do this. So there's the link, but again, you can go back to that website, or you can just Google LBOTE ANU College of Law and it'll bring it up. I always Google, I can't be bothered going through all the pages of the website. So when you have to do that, it'll ask you what you intend to do on improving your English. There is an option in there that says orientation program for international students. I want you all to tick that because I want you all to come along to that. But you can also tick things like conversation English, PAL. So at this point, we need to say that you have done 10 hours in activities to demonstrate you're trying to improve your English. Now, obviously, in the first 2 weeks, you can't do that. So what we're asking for in the application form now, oh, it's great. Thank you. Yeah, we'll have a look at it. Great.
We get to scroll down.
Yeah, it'd be great if we could open up. There we go. So what are we applying for? Language background other than English. We're putting our name in, which we won't have to do now. We put our program. We put the year we started. So yeah, Master of Laws, we put 2023. And session, we put semester 2. Just winter, whatever we are. Are you in your first 12 months? Yes or no? And then you tick which one applies to you. So probably for most of you, it's number 1. You're educated or English isn't what you speak at home. And then it says here, please demonstrate how they disadvantage you. For something like this, all I need you to write is, my native tongue is not English. That's enough for me. Okay? So I don't need you to demonstrate anything really, just to say, that's what the policy says. You can be a bit more creative if you like. Some of them I like reading just to get to learn about you, but you don't have to. Here, this is the one I really want you to focus on, the International Students Orientation Program, which I'm going to tell you about in a minute. But yeah, you can also tick any of the others that you think. And you're not locking yourself in to any of these. These are things you just might do to satisfy the 10 hours. And then it tells you that in about week 7 or week 8, we're going to write to you and say, I want evidence of your 10 hours. Okay? And that way, we will give you extra time in your final exams. If you've had extra time along the way in quizzes before week 7, well, you got that for nothing. Okay? I'm just going to trust you that you're going to do the right things with that. But if I don't have evidence by week 8, you will not get extra time in your final examination. And that's when you're really going to need it. Alrighty. So the best way to do it, as I said, is to do the International Student Orientation Program, because Tim runs this and he will keep a roll. Then you don't have to worry about anything. You just have to write down here later on when we say, actually, we won't even write to you in week 7 because we will have your names on the rolls. So if we don't write to you, you've already covered it and we know about it. But if we do write, you'll have to say, actually, I couldn't make the orientation program. I decided to do PAL instead, or English conversation, whatever you did. Okay, and then if you want to apply for something along the way, this is what we were just talking about down here. So there's an assessment you're going to apply for. It's going to be the exam if it's your final, which you won't have to apply for because we'll know. It'll be an individual time assessment probably. So you're going to tick that. You're going to give me the course code, which might be laws 8432, say. You're going to give me the name. It might be contract law. And then you're going to say it's the quiz. You're going to tell me what date it starts, what time it starts, and when it's due, and the time it's due. All right. And then you're going to submit. Basically, that's all you need to do. You tick a little privacy box down the bottom, and then you submit. And it will let you submit. That comes to me. I have a look and I say, okay, all the body students get 25% extra. That quiz was half an hour. Oh, no, I'm not very good at this. That quiz was an hour. You're going to get 15 more minutes. Okay. And we'll write back to you. And that happens automatically. So it is well worth doing. Okay. And then for your final exam, it makes even more difference, because if you're in a 3-hour exam and you're getting 25% plus a dictionary in your own language, conversion dictionary, it's really going to help. All right. So please do it because you're all entitled to it if you meet those criteria. Yeah.
That's a good question. If I studied in EU before, will I be eligible for this?
How long have you been in Australia?
6 years.
No chance. Sorry, kiddo. No chance with that one. All right, next one. Okay, so a couple of last minute things. Okay, your local address and emergency. Organise a mobile phone service. Yeah, this is really important. If any of you have not called home and told your parents and your families you're here safely, I'm going to be very angry. Used to get this all the time. Parents ringing, do you know if they've arrived in Australia yet? Really important you let everyone know you're okay. Open a bank account. For so many things, you will need an Australian bank account, not least of all if you start working, because your salary will need to go in there. So just go and open a bank account. Doesn't matter where. Just go. You need your ID. So while your passport's still fresh and you've got a few bits of ID, go and open a bank account. Apply for the TFN. I knew it was something. Yeah, there it is. Apply for the TFN. Understand your programs, bio programs and courses like we've gone through this morning, and complete all your enrolment ready to start for next week. So that is about it, I think.